That morning, Fozia stood in front of the mirror, her hands trembling slightly. She was only 24, newly married, deeply in love. And yet, in just a few hours, one decision could either save her husband's future or destroy everything she believed about herself. She didn't know it yet, but by the end of the day, she would be asked to choose between love and dignity, between marriage and survival. Fozia had moved to America with her husband Horace immediately after their marriage. Like many traditional families back home, her mother-in-law hoped she would soon become a mother. Fozia didn't mind that thought at all. She was happy, deeply content, and completely devoted to Horace. But happiness can be fragile. Just 1 week earlier, Horace had made a terrible mistake at work. A careless decision, one foolish oversight, and the company lost its biggest and most valuable client. That company wasn't just any firm. It was the very reason Horace had been selected from abroad and brought to America on a work visa. Without this job, their entire future would collapse. The owner of the company, Mr. Wasim, had returned from overseas the previous evening. And the moment he landed, he called Horace and asked him to meet at his house during lunch hours the next day. The call felt like a verdict. By morning, Horace was visibly shaken. His silence spoke louder than words as he left for work. Fozia watched him go, her heart heavy, her chest tight with fear. After he left, she sat at the study table, wearing a white sleeveless blouse and black trousers. Her chin rested on her palm, her eyes lost in thought. What if he's fired? What if we have to leave America? What if everything ends before it even begins? Then her eyes fell on a piece of paper lying on the table. An address. A phone number. Mr. Wasim's house. Horace had once said, "People say he's a kind man, someone who understands." That sentence echoed in her mind. What if I meet him first? What if I explain how guilty Horace feels? What if I ask for mercy, as a wife? The idea frightened her, but love pushed her forward. After a moment of hesitation, Fozia picked up the phone and dialed the number. Hello? A calm male voice answered. Hello, Mr. Wasim. My name is Mrs. Fozia Horace. My husband works at SATA Technology. There was a brief pause. Oh. Horace Ahmed's wife, he replied. The same Horace I'm meeting this afternoon? Yes, Fozia answered softly. How can I help you? He asked, now speaking in a warmer tone. Gathering courage, she said. Please, don't tell my husband I called. I was hoping to meet you before his appointment. Just to explain how deeply sorry he is. Another pause. If you can come within an hour, he said finally. I can meet you. Her heart raced. Yes. I'll be there. The moment the call ended, Fozia rushed to the shower. She dressed carefully, choosing a long, elegant dress that hugged her figure without revealing too much. Standing in front of the mirror, she adjusted her hair and whispered to herself. I look presentable. She entered the address into Google Maps, grabbed her keys, and drove toward his house, her thoughts tangled with fear, hope, and uncertainty. Please don't let this make things worse, she prayed. She parked outside a large, quiet house. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears as she walked to the front door and knocked. A man in his early 40s opened it, fit, well-groomed, confident. Yes, he said. I'm Fozia. Horace's wife. Thank you for seeing me. He smiled politely. Please, come in. The living room was spacious and tasteful. She sat on a chair, leaving a small table between them, an unconscious attempt to keep distance. He studied her for a moment, then spoke. I must say, Horace is a lucky man. A beautiful wife who cares so deeply for him. Fozia lowered her eyes. I know my husband made a serious mistake, she said. But he's ashamed, truly. I came here hoping you might give him one more chance. Her voice cracked. Tears welled up despite her effort to stay composed. She covered her face as the weight of their situation crushed her, new house payments, no savings left, and the terrifying thought of losing everything. Suddenly, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She flinched. Looking back, she saw Mr. Wasim standing behind her, trying to comfort her. She gently moved his hand away. He stepped back, his expression changing. Is there anything I can do? Fozia asked, looking straight into his eyes. Anything, to save my husband's job? He looked at her carefully, then said quietly. There is one way. Her breath caught. What? She asked. You'll have to be close to me. Friends. The word hit her like a slap. What do you mean? She whispered. You're not a child, he replied coldly. You understand. No, she said, standing abruptly. I can't. I've only ever loved my husband. He smiled faintly. Then leave. But if you walk out that door, Horace will receive his termination letter today. And you'll have 30 days to leave this country. Her legs felt weak. She stood there, trapped between love and survival, realizing that the most dangerous battle of her life had just begun. Fozia remained standing, frozen in place. Mr. Wasim's words echoed in her ears like a slow poison. Friends. Her heart pounded violently. Not from desire, but from fear, confusion, and the unbearable weight of responsibility. She looked at the door. Just a few steps, and she could leave. But then she saw Horace's face in her mind. The way he smiled when he talked about their future. The way his hands held hers the night they dreamed of a life together. Slowly, Fozia sat back down. Mr. Wasim noticed. A faint, knowing smile crossed his face. I'm not asking for anything cheap, he said calmly. I'm asking for trust. Time. Closeness. Fozia swallowed hard. My husband, she whispered. He can never know. Of course, he replied smoothly. This stays between us. Silence filled the room. Fozia felt exposed, not physically, but emotionally. She had never been in a situation like this. Never imagined a man other than her husband looking at her this way. Not hungry. Not desperate. But certain. He walked toward the window, giving her space. You should understand something, he said, his back to her. I wasn't planning to fire Horace. I only wanted to warn him. Her eyes widened. Then why? She asked. He turned around slowly. Because you came instead. The words made her chest tighten. If you walk away now, he continued, I'll forget this conversation ever happened. Horace keeps his job. Hope flashed across her face. But, he added softly, if you stay, this will change everything. Her fingers clenched in her lap. This was no longer about work. It was about choice. Fozia stood again, this time not to leave. She took a slow breath and said quietly, If I stay, what does friendship mean to you? Mr. Wasim looked directly into her eyes. It means dinners. Conversations. Private moments, he said. No force. No pressure. He paused. But I won't lie, attraction exists. Her cheeks burned. She had felt it too. Not desire, but awareness. Awareness of being seen, admired, powerful in her vulnerability. I don't belong to you, she said firmly. I'm a married woman. And I respect that, he replied. I won't touch you unless you allow it. Those words confused her even more. Because they sounded gentle. Fauzia's phone vibrated. A message from Horace. Meeting soon. I'm scared. Her eyes filled with tears again. She looked up at Mr. Wasim. Please, she whispered. Promise me he won't lose his job. He stepped closer, close enough for her to feel his presence. But not close enough to touch. I promise, he said. As long as you don't disappear from my life. Her breath shook. In that moment, Fauzia realized something terrifying. She wasn't being forced. She was choosing. Slowly, painfully, she nodded. I'll stay, she said. But on my terms. A slow smile appeared on his face. Of course, he replied. Everything meaningful always begins that way. In that quiet room, Fauzia understood one painful truth. She had saved her husband's future. But placed her own heart on a dangerous path. And she didn't know whether she would come back unchanged. That evening, Fauzia sat alone in her car for a long time. The engine was off. The world outside felt distant. She had said yes. Not with joy, not with desire. But with a heart crushed under responsibility. When she finally reached home, Horace was already there. He looked at her anxiously. How did your day go? He asked. She forced a smile. Normal, she replied softly. But nothing was normal anymore. That night, as Horace slept beside her, Fauzia stared at the ceiling. His arm rested protectively over her waist. His breathing was calm. She loved him. Yet her mind kept drifting back, to a quiet living room. To a man who had looked at her not as a wife. Not as someone's responsibility. But as a woman. The thought filled her with guilt. And something else she didn't want to name. The next evening, her phone buzzed. Mr. Wasim. Dinner tomorrow. Just talk. Nothing more. She stared at the screen. Her fingers trembled as she typed back. I can't stay long. The reply came instantly. I wouldn't expect anything else. The restaurant was quiet. Elegant. Private. Mr. Wasim stood when she arrived. You look different today, he said. How? She asked. Stronger, he replied. They talked about simple things, work, books, life. No pressure. No demands. Yet every pause felt heavy. Every glance lasted half a second too long. At one point, his hand brushed against hers on the table. She pulled back instinctively. I'm sorry, he said immediately. She shook her head. No, it's my fault. I shouldn't be here. Then why are you? He asked gently. She didn't answer. Because the truth frightened her. As they stood to leave, Fauzia finally spoke. You saved my husband's job, she said. But I feel like I'm losing myself. He looked at her seriously. I never wanted to take anything from you, he said. I only wanted honesty. She took a deep breath. I feel seen here, she whispered. And that scares me. He stepped back, giving her space. Then go home, he said quietly. Before this becomes something neither of us can undo. Her heart raced. This was her escape. She could walk away now. Clean, untouched, still herself. But instead, she stayed. The air between them felt charged. She could hear her own heartbeat. Just this once, she said softly. Let me sit, a little longer. He nodded. They sat in silence. No touch. No words. Yet the closeness was louder than anything physical. In that moment, Fauzia understood. Desire doesn't begin with bodies. It begins with permission. And she had almost given it. Fauzia stood abruptly. I can't, she said. If I take one more step, I won't recognize myself. He didn't stop her. That's why you're stronger than you think, he said. She left. That night, she went home and held her husband tighter than ever before. She had saved his future. And barely saved her own soul. But the secret remained. And some lines, once approached, never fully disappear from the heart. Thank you for watching. Some stories don't end, they wait. See you in the next video.